Canada is turning into an authoritarian hellhole right before our eyes. It appears the killing of 400 ostriches is imminent unless someone steps in to stop it. Canada now wants to take away your guns and move towards a full digital ID system. You can't walk in the woods there without getting a fine. The RCMP and the Canadian Food Inspection Agency, the CFIA, which is a criminal organization of Canada, have ordered the killing of 400 ostriches at the Universal Ostrich Farm near Edgewood, British Columbia. These birds, of course, have been a viral cause in Canada right now. And the owner of the farm, Katie Pasitny, is begging because it looks like the RCMP is trying to get these animals and kill them within maybe the next 48 hours. Hopefully the Supreme Court will step in, but she's pleading for President Trump to try to help.
Mr. Trump, President Trump, this is a cry out, a plea from Canada. Please stop the slaughter of almost 400 healthy ostriches that are going to suffer today or tomorrow. We need a miracle. The world has been calling on a miracle.
Now, the CFIA has seized control of the farm. It's cut off access. It's constructing a massive death pen right now, complete with hay bales to exterminate these healthy birds. Today, we saw another truck full of hay bales pulling up, and there's trucks in the way basically telling them to screw off. And they, by the way, these hay bale trucks have they're covering up their license plates as well. Like they're trying to hide. I don't know. I don't think these truckers really want to be a part of this. I don't know. David Crayden, independent journalist in Canada, has been following the story from the very beginning. He's been one of the loudest voices on this, and he's really gotten the attention of a lot of the international media on this. So, David, welcome back to the show. Thank you for your voice in all of this. Where do things stand right now, first on the ostrich story?
Well, I just had a text from Katie not 10 minutes ago, and she was on my show this morning, and she said, make sure you make it clear that the Supreme Court, if it says no, and it could say no within the next 48 hours, the CFIA, the Canadian Food Inspection Agency, which you quite correctly identified as a criminal and terrorist organization, could begin the slaughter within the next 24 to 48 hours. They've created the slaughter pen because they don't want anybody to see what they're doing. They have taken so much hay at taxpayer expense that there's actually a shortage of hay for farmers in the area. This is how crazy this is. They want to kill 399 healthy birds, and in the meantime, they have been causing devastation, havoc, and chaos on the farm. They have been terrorizing the ostriches, running after them with lassos, trying to corral them, and they have been doing everything possible to make the birds sick. Not feeding them enough, not feeding them properly, just throwing the food on the ground where they have difficulty eating it. They're not chickens, as Katie has pointed out to me many, many times. Not giving them adequate water. What they want is for at least one or two birds to appear sick so they can say, I guess we were right.
So dehydrating them, killing them, making them sick is the part of the plan.
Yeah, well, these people, Clayton, I really knew nothing about the Canadian Food Inspection Agency. In fact, Katie told me today she really had no dealings with them either because they haven't been using the ostriches for food on this farm for many, many years, and they were never bothered. But I've come to know the CFIA, as you say, a terrorist criminal organization. These are execution goons. That's all they do. They have no veterinary skills. They have no animal health knowledge. They are there as executioners only, and they are acting with impunity. They're ignoring animal cruelty laws right now. They're ignoring the rule of law. They are acting as if the Supreme Court said nothing or said, go ahead. The Supreme Court said there is a stay. They are behaving as if they're prepared to start shooting at a moment's notice. And I think this has disgusted Canadians across the country. I thought these were just a bunch of faceless bureaucrats, but they're not. This is an execution squad, and they don't seem to be adept at anything else, including caring for animals in the very minimal degree. So I have nothing but contempt for these bureaucrats who are walking around like they own the farm and they own the country. They're, as far as I'm concerned, they're emblematic of this Carney liberal regime we have in this country that thinks it can act with impunity about anything, and it makes up the rule of law as it goes every day.
Well, what do you think they would argue for their jurisdiction? How could they possibly do that, given they don't have proof that the birds are sick? Is there something in the Canadian law that would give them some kind of power that the rest of us couldn't anticipate?
They have been granted carte blanche on this operation by the Carney government. You just had a guest on talking about the CIA having extraterritorial, extracurricular powers. This is a government agency that has the same kind of powers. They can ignore institutions, they can ignore the law, and they just continue to do what they think they need to do. And their policy is to kill these birds. Don't bother us with the facts. We don't need to test them. And by the way, if you test them, 6 months in jail, $200,000 fine per bird. And we don't need to justify what we're doing. We're just doing it because that's our policy. The policy says so. You know, that's exactly how fascist and Nazi and communist governments throughout history have acted. Don't ask us to explain. Don't ask us why we're killing all these people. It's in the book. It's the policy. Right. It's the government says so, so we're going to do it. Canada has come down this far. It's an authoritarian state.
But is there, okay, but I want to talk about the like, what can we hang our hat on, though? Is there something in the Canadian laws that would send them packing? Like, is there something that you specifically are hoping for in terms of like the saving grace
that Katie's hoping for on the farm?
The last hope Katie has legally, judicially, is the Supreme Court of Canada. That's the highest court in the land. And if the Supreme Court looks at this and says, well, there's nothing we can do, then there's something seriously wrong with this country.
Yeah, that's what you would think.
There is the only other answer here is a political solution. And that's Donald Trump calling up Mark Carney and saying, I don't think this looks good. Stop it now. Now, that's a possibility. There's a lot of people working behind the scenes. I have literally called everybody I know or used to know, including people like Pam Anderson, who was a representative of PETA, who's an animal rights activist. I'm saying, Pam, get to the farm. We need to do something about this.
Yeah, I know RFK has been looking into it. I've sent messages to my friend Tucker. Tucker published a whole story about it this morning in his his morning note, which was great. I know that he is disgusted by it. So I know that there's a groundswell of support here in the United States to stop this from independent journalists and from these great thinkers in the Trump administration like RFK Jr. So talking about totalitarianism, and David, we'll get you out of here on this. Canada also now moving to get rid of guns, turn in your guns. But they're saying, oh, it's voluntary, but it's really not voluntary. You have until next year, basically, to turn in your guns. And you see these government goons coming around. You will have no recourse at all. You see what happened in the UK. You turn in your guns, and then the police come to your door for mean tweets that you post. Mark Carney also over in Europe this week, also calling for digital ID in Canada. So Canada, I'm not wrong when I call it an authoritarian hellhole that it's slipping into right now, David.
You're not. It's becoming exactly like the UK. And why was Mark Carney in London meeting with Herr Keir Starmer at the same time Keir Starmer was announcing digital ID and the Prime Minister of Australia was there? Because these are all countries that the globalists target first of all, these old British Commonwealth countries. They're the first to fall. But here's the plan Mark Carney has, and it involves exactly what you're talking about. Confiscate the last guns we have in Canada. And this gun grab is about the guns farmers use. Once again, this is an attack on agriculture, attack on farmers, just like Stalin and Mao did. And the second part of the strategy is absolutely destroy free speech. So, and Justin Trudeau had a horrible bill in front of Parliament before the last Parliament dissolved. It's called Bill C-68, the Online Harms Act. Well, Mark Carney, now believe this or not, He's got 3 censorship bills in front of Parliament. 2 of them have had first reading. The third is going to be a resurrected Online Harms Act, which has the thought crimes component. But let me just read this to you. This is Bill C8, which has been introduced, has gone through first reading. But here's what Bill C8 involves. Bill C8, Mark Carney can ban anybody from using the internet, can ban you from talking about how or why you got banned from the internet, and force you to give all of your personal information that they deem relevant to the government, and you're not even allowed to say they've asked to do that. This is a communist state. And of course, the third part, which you discussed, digital ID. So we are being surveyed, we're being watched, and this government is even more totalitarian than the Trudeau regime, because they have not 1, not 2, but 3 pieces of censorship legislation. And I tell you now, and the other bill, C9, is outlawing hate symbols, not just hate speech. We need less hate speech. We need hate speech eradicated from Canada, because free speech means you can say things that might be deemed hateful or offensive by somebody. That's what the First Amendment in the U.S. talks about. That's what Canada needs. Less hate speech, more free speech. But Bill C9, any symbol now deemed offensive by somebody is going to be banned, and you could go to jail for life for using a symbol that is being determined by somebody as hateful. And I ask you, is that chaos? Because Jewish people might find a Palestinian flag hateful. Arab people might find a Jewish flag hate. This is going to be a recipe for chaos and judicial confusion.
I have a symbol for the Canadian government. So I have a symbol for, I'm allowed to, here it is. That's my symbol for the Canadian government right there. I hope that's considered hateful. You can use that emoji if you like. David Crayden, great to see you as always. My wife trying to, tell me to be nice. Tell me to be nice.
Be nice.
Well, it's hard. It's hard not to get passionate about this, because I'm watching my country go down the tube. And the time for objectivity as a journalist, I've been a mainstream journalist. I've been an independent journalist. The time for objectivity is gone. This is like going to war. We're having a revolution in this country over our freedom. And unless we speak up now, we're going to lose that freedom. This country is going down the tube. And I can't overemphasize that. And I want to get that message out as long as I can before the government stomps me out, because that could be next. Thank you.
David Crayden, well, we know the censorship is strong in Canada. Absolutely. They block us. Certainly they are on YouTube and so forth. So thank you for that. David, great to see you as always. Keep us in the loop on what happens with Katie, and we'll keep pushing as much as we can to bring awareness to that part of the story. Thank you, David.
Thank you both. We love you, Natalie and Clayton.
Thank you so much. See how he hesitated on the Clayton part? We love you, Natalie.
Yeah.
And you too.
And you too.